I'm Hannah and I'm going to show you how to make this simple circuit today, and we're going to use this knowledge to make more complicated things light up. And we're going to use three things primarily: tinfoil, LEDs and coin cell batteries. Make sure you have a clean space to work in. Maybe you want to tie your hair back if it's quite long, and you may want parental supervision as you are transferring energy around a circuit, but just be aware that the battery may get warm, and if anything gets too hot to the touch, just remove the battery from the circuit. You can do that by ripping the tinfoil. Great, let's get started. So here's the stuff that I've got. I'm just currently fiddling about with everything, showing you what it is that I'm using. These are my LEDs. I've got different colours in two sizes, some large and some small. Notice they've got one leg longer than the other. Other than that, I've got some cardboard, I've got tape, scissors, I've got a tiny bit of packing foam there, which I just got from some packaging, but you can use anything like a little bit of sponge with some cardboard. So I'm showing you this coin cell battery. There's a positive sign on one side, which means that's the positive side of the battery, and this sort of dotty side you can see here is the negative side. These LEDs, the long leg actually has a positive signal, so you can tell which way round it is by the way that you put it on the battery. You can see here that the light doesn't light up one way, but it does the other. This is because you have to line up the positive leg of the LED to the positive side of the battery. Lining up the positive side of the LED to the negative side of the battery will mean that it won't work and you won't complete the circuit. Now here I'm folding up some tinfoil. You don't need to do this, you could use just a simple strip. Tinfoil, you could just cut it out, but this makes it a bit stronger, less easy to tear, and I'm just going to go for like maybe a little centimetre width or so. So tinfoil conducts electricity. There's that positive symbol I was telling you about on the battery, so that side's negative, and I'm just going to tape this tinfoil to that positive side. And because I'm using tape isn't conductive, I'm making sure not to cover the entire other side. So I don't want to cover the negative side of the battery with that tape because we've still got to put something there. And here you can see that I'm making the beginnings of our circuit. So what I'm going for is just a very simple rectangle. I'm going to start from the positive end of the battery, and we're going to go round, and then we're going to join back up on the negative side. Just taping that down to the cardboard so it's a bit more stable. Great. So here's another strip that I've made, and I'm going to tape it to that side of the battery, making sure that when I cut this, I'm going to cut this end off here, and I'm going to make sure that those two pieces touch really firmly because they have to conduct that electricity. So tape them down, made sure they're connected, and now I'm just going to tape the entire battery to the cardboard. There. So now I've got a circuit that goes from the positive end of the battery all the way around to the negative side. So what happens if I cut a gap in this circuit here? So now the circuit is broken. I'm going to get this LED, use that positive leg, the long one, that's got to line up to the positive side of the battery, so we know which way around that's got to go. Just bending the legs out, put it down, it lights up immediately. As soon as it touches, it completes the circuit and it's lighting up. If we swap it around the other way, you can see it doesn't light up at all. It's because the negative end is going to the positive side of the battery. So we need those to line up the correct way round. And once you've figured out which way round that is, then we're going to tape that in place. So maybe you can see the problem that I've got here. It's always on. So maybe sometimes I want to turn the light on and turn it off. That's a switch. And remember that little bit that I taped together at the bottom corner there? We're going to just lift that up and I'm going to make that an actual switch. So every time I lift that up, the circuit is broken and the LED turns off. Here I've got a bit of cardboard that I'm just using to reinforce this tiny strip of tin foil. I'm making sure there's a little gap at the end there with tin foil only because cardboard is not conductive. So when we push just the cardboard down onto that tin foil, it doesn't complete the circuit. But when we push the tin foil down, it completes. So now we've got that in the right position, that's where I'm going to use this little bit of packing foam. As I said, you could use a little bit of sponge, you could use a bit of cardboard that you fold up so it just makes sure that it's going to stay upright first and you have to press on it to make it complete the circuit and turn the LED on. And then you've made your very own switch. So here I'm just taping that down. You could glue that down if you prefer. And then it sort of works like a seesaw where we've got the point in the middle, which is the sponge, and this cardboard is going to fold over the top of it. Here I'm just showing you from the other side. So when I press that down, the LED lights up. So what else can we do with that? How about using that switch as a birthday card? So when you close the card, it turns on the LEDs. If you open it, you can see that the LEDs are not even attached, they're just folded in. And the tin foil on the top goes to one side of the battery on the back, and the tin foil goes to the other side and goes to the bottom of the happy birthday. And so when you close the card, the LEDs actually complete that circuit, which means that they're going to light up. Or how about this police car? So I've made this on foam board, and you can see on the back that if I press the two switches, I can make it either light up red or blue. So here, the LEDs are in parallel in the circuit, so let's take a closer look at the circuit. So this battery is positive and it goes up to when I press that switch, it goes back round. Notice that there I've had to make a bridge with card so that it doesn't touch the other side of the circuit. That's really important because if you had it touching both sides of the circuit, it would short circuit that and nothing would work. Here's slightly more complicated. So here I've made like a slider. And this slider, when I push this through the hole, it's going to complete the circuit for either of those. So again, they're in parallel. And when you push that through the hole along the bottom, you can see that I've cut it out so it looks like a sunrise. So you start with a tiny bit of slither, and then it gets bigger, and then it's fully risen. That's a bit more complicated. Maybe something 3D? How about these, where you can choose which colour corner you want to pick and open it. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I can't wait to see what you guys all create with this. Once you understand the simple circuit idea, you can do so much with it. Great, thanks so much.